Good evening, everybody. It is the world's first and only dark skin activist, Rashida Strober. I am the creator, the inventor, the designer, the architect of the very first platform in history for dark skin, known as dark skin activism. I am the reason that anybody speaks about colorism, darkism, and dark skin discrimination online. In 1998, I built the first platform to eradicate darkism and to eradicate colorism. And by that, I do not mean that I wrote an article or I wrote one book or I discussed it. I actually built a platform with the sole focus of focusing on and eradicating dark skin discrimination, which I call colorism, and darkism. Dark skin discrimination, which I call darkism, should I say, and also colorism. I brought this platform to the online masses in 2009. Dark skin activism began gaining ground in around 2014, and it took off in 2015. People called me crazy. They said, "What the hell is a dark skin activist?" And then they flocked to my channel as a result of the publicity I got, and they began mocking me and then copying me. So that is a brief history of how the conversation, the discussion on colorism, on dark skin discrimination, and darkism came online. I have a play that I will be performing, a one-woman play called A Dark Skinned Woman's Revenge. That's actually online. You can watch it from anywhere in the world. Just go to darkskinactivist.com. Tickets are on sale right now. You can get your tickets. The play will take place on Friday, June 26th at 7:30 p.m. And it starts very promptly. So make sure you guys go and get your tickets. If you are in the Atlanta area, I will be performing at the White Label on the same date. If you want to come out to the live show, I'll be at the White Label located at 349 Decatur Street Southeast, Unit M in Atlanta, Georgia, and the time is 7:30 p.m. There will be a darkism show right after. So if you're in Atlanta, you can click that buy now button for Atlanta. And if you're not in Atlanta and you want to watch it from online, you can just click that buy now button. It's called A Dark Skinned Woman's Revenge. Dark-skinned people, it is not your fault. As the first darkism theorist, as the first dark-skinned activist, I want to let dark-skinned people know that it's not your fault. It really is not. And I know you guys are wondering, what are you talking about? What do you mean by it's not your fault? Riri Joy, shout out to you. Thank you for watching. Faith, shout out to you. Thank you for watching. And I also want to say thank you to the recent donations that I have received by people who believe in my work. They believe in A Dark Skinned Woman's Revenge. They support what I do. They want to see it get off the ground. And I want to tell you, each and every last one of you, you know who y'all are. Thank you for all of your donations to help me produce this show that's coming up on June 26th. I am immensely grateful. There are no words to describe how grateful. This is y'all's show. And I'm going to put on a fantastic show because this is for you. I faced a lot of obstacles with producing the show. Faced a lot of hardships. Have a lot of people hating on me, telling me what I can't do. They don't want to see me make it happen. But through all of that, I'm still here and I persevere. And I thank God for those of you that believe in what I am doing enough to say, Rashida, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. I'm going to donate. I'm going to buy a ticket. I'm so grateful to you. And I want you to know that. That is very important that you understand that. If you would like to contribute to the production fund, I'm still raising funds. The funds go to the venue cost, the marketing costs, I have to pay for the live stream and the tech costs and also the travel costs. So if you want to help me make it happen, you can go to my Cash App. And I'm going to give you guys the links. You can go to my PayPal. You can also go to my GoFundMe. I'm going to drop those links in the chat box right now. So you can go to my PayPal, which is icecreamladydream@yahoo.com, or you can go to my Cash App, which is $Rashida Lala. Once again, $Rashida Lala, and you can give there, or you can go to my GoFundMe, which is Rashida Strober GoFundMe. And to be honest with you guys, I would prefer that you give to one of the platforms I just mentioned and not to the super chat. It's just because YouTube takes a while to give money and I need working capital. And if you give the money to one of my financial platforms, like my Cash App, my GoFundMe, or my PayPal, I get the money quicker and then I have funds to work with. Dark-skinned people, it's not your fault. And I'm not saying that to alleviate you of responsibility, because every human being has a responsibility to do right. Every human being has a responsibility to treat each other with dignity, with kindness, with love, respect. Make sure y'all like this video, by the way, and share it as well. Every human being has a responsibility to treat their fellow man and their fellow woman with the same level of respect that they want to be treated with. And I believe in, the golden rule, what we was taught in the Bible. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness. The 10 Commandments. I believe in those things. I was raised in a church, and I was raised with morals. I believe in treating your fellow man right. So I'm not sitting up here saying, oh, well, dark-skinned people, you can go out here and you can do anything you want and there's no responsibility. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that due to systemic darkism, and that's what I'm going to call it. Some people may refer to it as systemic racism. And I do refer to the scholarly research, which is what I respect. I don't watch these folks' videos on YouTube. I don't care nothing about them. They're plagiarizers. I defer to the scholars who have spent their time and their energy and their integrity, intellectual integrity and devotion, and studied and researched extensively the impact that skin tone has on life chances. And I talked about people like Max Weber before, who's a German sociologist. And this idea of life chances and how society, the rules of society, the rules that society sets in terms of how we interact with each other, how it determines your life chances. And of course, you have scholars like colorism scholars like Dr. Margaret Hunter. And there's a emerging body of new research to add on to the existing research regarding colorism scholarship that's starting to grow. And I would like to think that I had something to do with that, because y'all get mad at me and y'all call me a narcissist. I don't care. Y'all get mad because I say I was the first, but I'm telling you the truth. I've been studying the colorism scholarly literature for years before there was a YouTube. And so that's how I know that when I brought this colorism thing online as a topic to just talk about it in general, I came with the body of understanding of the research. And that's how I know, because I read current research and I have to think to myself, well, hey, my impact on social media has influenced people, to scholars, the emerging scholars, to research colorism. How do I know that? Because people have contacted me, people that are working on PhDs or dissertations, their theses. They've contacted me for interviews. They've contacted me because they know I'm the dark-skinned activist. And so I know I've had an impact on the emerging colorism scholarly research, okay? Because I have been studying colorism for years before there was YouTube. So I noticed this upward trajectory in terms of increasing scholarship. And what I would like to see, and what I'm going to fight for and push for, is the School of Dark Skin Activism, founded by myself, Rashida Strober, the dark skin activist. I want dark skin activism to become a course. And as a part of dark skin activism, this new paradigm of darkism. I want to be the new paradigm to juxtapose to colorism. Because as I've explained before, I said, listen, I've studied the colorism scholarly literature before there was YouTube, before there was social media. And as a scholar, as a student of history, as a student of social outcomes, as a student of scholars who study social outcomes, like the sociologist Margaret Hunter, I understand that there's gaps in the colorism scholarly literature. And that's how it is. That's okay. Because research begets research and paradigms begat paradigms. So, because of the gap in the colorism scholarly research, I decided I needed to come up with something that deals specifically with what dark skinned people face. Because when we're talking about colorism, coined by Alice Walker, and I'm the one that was telling everybody this, and now people don't ever want to give credit to where it's due, but I said in multiple videos prior to people like Randy SoCal coming on YouTube saying anything about Alice Walker, I've been said Alice Walker coined the word colorism around 1982 in a writing piece called If the Present Looks Like the Past, What Does the Future Look Like? And I would appreciate if you listen to me say this, if you would be honest and say, you know what? I heard Rashida Strober say this. Because a lot of y'all are not going to go and read the scholars. You'll just sit and listen to YouTube videos. I actually read the scholarly research. And this is what I'm trying to get you all to understand. There is an extensive body of research out there of people that have spent literally years. In fact, I would even argue that these people have spent their entire career studying colorism, like Dr. Margaret Hunter. Okay, she's one of the greats. People like Verna Keith, people like Cedric Herring. They wrote a great piece years ago. I believe it's called Skin Tone and Stratification in the Black Community. And if you look at one of my videos dated way back in 2014, I cite them. I cite their work. I've always been intellectually honest. And you know, there's so many wonderful colorism scholars out there that have spent years laying out the research, and I've known about these people and studied these people before there was a social media. Okay? It's simply nothing new. Not to me. It may be new to you, and this is why I can come on and I can confidently say that I am the world's first dark skin activist, because I took the research and decided to become an activist, or it fueled my activism. It fueled the activism. The activism came out of my experience, but the scholarly research fueled the activism. And I've read some of the greatest colorism scholars, in my humble opinion. Like I said, it's a lot of people out there. Like I said, Dr. Margaret Hunter, she's probably one of the main people, and that's why I've always mentioned her scholarship. Okay, you got people out there like who else? Trying to just think of some of the other people. And these scholars don't get credit because they may not necessarily want to be in the limelight. They may just want to do the research. Okay, so you got people like D. Hamilton. That's another person, along with other scholars. There's an article that they wrote. I think it was like 2006 or 2007. I think it was called something from dark to light skin color and wages among African Americans, giving us the discrepancies in terms of how skin tone impacts wages. You understand? There's just so many. Man, I might be here all day talking about the scholars. okay, that have brought to the fore the colorism research. And these scholars have found that as I assess it, should I say, their research indicates that it's not dark-skinned people's faults. It's not. Their own research. And again, the only thing that you could do is you can read the research and you can come to logical conclusions based on the research. Okay, so there's, for example, just to help you guys to understand, I believe these guys are from the University of South Florida. I could have swore up and down. I might have to Google them. Kwabena Gayama Brimpong, I hope I'm saying his name right, along with Gregory N. Price. They wrote a paper called Crime and Punishment and Skin Tone Hue. And this is a part of the body of research. And I just want to share this with you because I need people to understand that when the dark skin activist speaks, number one, dark skin activism is rooted in my experience. Dark skin activism came from my dark skin experience. That's where I created it from. Now, dark skin activism is fueled by scholarship, and that's how it works. Activism is fueled by scholarship because you're taking scholarship to another level. Scholarship leaves off with presenting what the problem is. Problem, cause. Activism is the solution. Hence, dark skin activism is fueled by scholarship. It's very important to understand. I'm telling you where dark skin activism came from. Number one, it came from Rashida Strober's dark skin experience. And I said, why? I want to know why. What's going on? What's going on? Marvin Gaye, shout out to you. And then as I grew intellectually, the activism was fueled by the scholarship. So we need to understand that very, very clearly, because I don't think that some people are understanding that. And that's why I have such a problem with people plagiarizing, because of the amount of work and the thought processes that has gone into developing scholarship, the research that has gone into developing scholarship around this phenomena that's called colorism and that I now call darkism. Very important that people understand this. So one of the research that I've read, I want to kind of read to you guys. This is called Crime and Punishment and Skin Hue 2. Cut the light on in here because it's kind of dark in here and I need to be able to see. All right, so just follow me. And once again, it's by Kwabena Gayama Brimpong and Gregory N. Price. And let me just Google their names because I could swear up and down one of them or both are professors at the University of South Florida. So Gregory N. Price. And by the way, the University of South Florida is my alma mater. I graduated from the University of South Florida with a master's degree in political science. Let's see, Kwabena. Hope I spell his name right. Brim Hong. Okay. There we go. Let's see if we can pull up some images of them. Yeah, there he is. He actually looks like a Ghanaian that I used to date. And this is Gregory. We got a dark-skinned scholar and a light-skinned scholar. These are the authors of this writing. Let's go back. I just wonder if this can be pulled up online. It might be able to be pulled up online. Let's see. Normally, you can't really access these peer-reviewed articles unless you're like a student or you're like a professor or something like that. So I may not be able to download the actual article, but let's see if it comes up somewhere. Let's see. And I think that at the time that I was able to actually get the printout, a friend of mine who's a university professor was able to get access to these. So it doesn't appear that we'll be able to pull it up, but that's okay because I have the paper article right here. So let me read. This is very important research, and it's one of the reasons why I said dark-skinned people, it ain't necessarily your fault. Let's read. Conditional on being Black, there is evidence that skin hue matters for a wide array of socioeconomic outcomes. For example, there is evidence that Blacks with a dark skin hue fare worse in terms of wages, occupational prestige, unemployment. And this work is citing, again, people like Dr. Margaret Hunter, Mark Hill. These people are colorism scholars. Understand? Access to health, resources, and intergenerational wealth accumulation than Blacks with light skin hue. Such findings suggest that the distribution of advantage and disadvantage in American life is conditioned not just on being Black, but on skin hue as well. So again, this is not just about Blackness. This is about the tone of your Blackness. I call it darkism. Okay, this is my contribution to the scholarly literature. I coined the word darkism because there was nothing academic wise to operationalize or provide a framework, a conceptual framework for the systemic discriminations that dark-skinned people go through. So I developed it and called it darkism. Okay, let's keep going. That skin hue affects economic outcomes for Blacks suggests that profit maximizing firms and utility maximizing individuals have a preference for Blacks with light skin hues. They cite Goldsmith, which is another colorism scholar. If so, the distribution of disadvantage among Blacks will fall along gradations in skin hue, with disadvantage increasing for those with darker skin hue. One possible manifestation of disadvantage is crime. So this author, and this is my interpretation, he's not saying this, but I'm interpreting it like this. These authors are focusing on what I would call darkism in the criminal justice system, for example. Some people might say colorism in the criminal justice system. Some people might say racism. I call it darkism because we are specifically honing in on dark-skinned people. Now, they didn't call it darkism, but this is the dark-skinned activist interpretation because I'm the first dark-skinned activist, darkism social theorist, and this is what I do. I interpret the data. So let's keep going. One possible manifestation of disadvantage is crime. In the canonical economic model of crime of Gary S. Becker and as extended by Isaac Elric, disadvantaged individuals can be viewed as those with limited opportunities for engaging in legitimate activities. Do you guys understand that? These authors are using the research of a crime model from a person named Gary S. Becker. And I'm going to read that again. Disadvantaged individuals can be viewed as those with limited opportunities for engaging in legitimate activities. So let's keep reading. Let's see where the dark skin comes in. To the extent that conditional on being Black, opportunities for engaging in legitimate activities are inversely proportional to the darkness of skin tone. The probability of participating in illegitimate activities or crime may also be conditioned on skin hue. Basically, the argument here is dark-skinned people have limited opportunities to engage in legitimate activities, which makes them by default sometimes forced to engage in crime because they're not allowed to participate. And this is why I like this, because this is honing in on what dark-skinned people are going through. And this is why I call it darkism, whereas colorism focuses a lot on light-skinned privilege. Darkism hones in on the discriminations that dark-skinned people go through. So this, I'm giving you guys my interpretation. Now y'all can go and read the same article. It's called Crime and Punishment and Skin Hue, and you can come up with a different interpretation. But this is the dark-skinned activist interpretation. Let's keep going. Despite the apparent importance of skin hue in the distribution of advantage and disadvantage, the economics of crime literature tends to view blacks as one homogeneous group. To the extent that skin hue matters, aggregating across Black Americans in this manner could lead to biased estimates of the effects of being Black on participation in criminal activity, and to inferences that being Black is associated with higher stocks of criminal capital relative to non-Blacks. Given that race and skin hue determine the distribution of disadvantage among Black Americans, however, the effects of being Black on criminal activity may instead reflect the disadvantages that accrue to being Black conditional on skin hue. In this paper, we consider the effects of skin hue on the likelihood of participation in criminal activities and on sentencing for Black American conditional on being convicted of a crime. To the extent that individuals, firms, and social institutions have a preference for Blacks with a light skin hue, it is plausible that Blacks with a dark skin hue face limited opportunities for legitimate activities that motivate illegitimate activities once arrested and punished more severely than Black offenders with a light skin hue. The thesis is very simple and straightforward. Because dark skin, I'm going to paraphrase and put it in my own words. I'm not reading anymore. And this is an article I read a long time ago, and I just kept it because it's absolutely fucking brilliant. And I'm so happy they did this study. Thank you. Because dark-skinned people have limited opportunities as we go down the color spectrum from light to dark, what tends to happen is, as I said before, that dark-skinned people are then pushed or forced sometimes into illegitimate activities, as the author states. They're forced to engage in this type of behavior. That's why you see, it's one reason why you see more dark-skinned people in prison. And then when they do get in trouble, when you start to compare light-skinned defendants to dark-skinned defendants, we see there's plenty of studies, the Villanova study, one of which, that showed that dark-skinned women are 12% more likely to receive more prison time than their light-skinned counterparts. So then when they are convicted and it's time for sentencing, they get longer prison sentences, harsher punishment. So this is when I make my thesis, when I make my assessments, it comes not only from my lived experience, folks, it comes from the research and scholarship. And I was just giving you an example, just one example. I know some of y'all hear me cussing and fussing and rant, but at the end of the day, you fucking dealing with an academic here. I might throw a fucking in there every now and then. That's how I do it. It's my style. Hate it or love it. A lot of you motherfuckers hating on me. You the same ones watching me, mocking me, and copying me. This is what I do. This is my lane. Point that I'm making is dark skin activism, the movement that I created, is rooted in lived experience and also the academic research. And you guys can read the study. You can go and finish reading the study. And it clearly shows that dark-skinned people have reduced opportunities, which can lead to illegal activity. which can lead to more prison time for a dark-skinned person when compared to a non-dark-skinned person that committed the same crime. Folks, it's called darkism. Okay, so dark-skinned people understand, and again, I preface this whole video with I'm not making excuses for dark-skinned people. I'm simply saying that due to systemic darkism, I am simply saying that a lot of these things are not your fault. Okay? Shout out to Lisa Jones. Thank you for watching. Shout out to Healthcare. Shout out to Decatur Levert. I'm glad you're here to learn, because that's really what it's about. I've been holding darkism talks for years before there was a YouTube. Decatur, this is not anything new for me. I just brought it online, and everybody watched me, mock me, and copied me. That's what they did. That's what they did. But, you know, my scholarship and my activism, should I say, is fueled by solid academic research. Okay? And I just want dark-skinned people to understand that a lot of the situations that we find ourselves in, we can't just look at it and say, oh, well, this person is a bad person, or this person is a lazy person. This person is not an intelligent person, or this person doesn't make good decisions. We have to look at the impact that society has on dark-skinned people in terms of the prejudice towards dark-skinned people and the stereotypes, and how that impacts opportunities and life outcomes. So it's not your fault, dark-skinned people. It's not always your fault. It's not. Darkism is rearing its ugly head in so many areas of society, and it becomes confusing sometimes, especially with the new generations. They're the victim of darkism, and they don't even realize it. They don't even know it. You understand? And that's why education is so important. That's why we cannot just make rash assumptions. We cannot just say, oh, this person is a bad person because he or she did this. Well, how do you know what their life is like, their circumstances like as a dark-skinned person? How do you know if they haven't been denied opportunities and access? How do you know their economic situation? And we know that because of slavery and during slavery, that light-skinned mulatto enslaved people got more economic opportunity because they had links to white relatives. I mean, they had a white daddy. You got you got access to money. You may have been granted what's called manumission because your white daddy slave master may have said, you know what, this is my child and this is my gift to you. I'm going to just let you go and be free. And not only that, I'm going to give you some money, and I'm going to give you some education and some land. And that's how you get light-skinned people. That's one of this, and this all comes from scholarship. That's how you end up getting light-skinned people that became, if you will, the talented 10th. Shout out to W.E.B. Du Bois, who coined that word, I believe, the talented 10th. That's how you get it, because they had access to privilege because of their light skin, because of their white fathers. They had some level of access. And then they took that access and built communities, and became the elite among Black people. So you have to ask the question, where does that lead dark-skinned people? And to this day, we still have the same thing going on. I call it systemic economic darkism. That's another term that I gave to, that's a term that I coined and created. Give me my credit. It's called systemic economic darkism. It is a term that I created in my book called Darkism: 25 Ways Dark-Skinned People Are Discriminated Against. You can buy it on Amazon or you can get it at my website. I created that term because I wanted to define, and it's always important for me to define and clarify. Clarity is everything. I heard one of the great acting coaches out there say this from New York. I can't think of his name. I like to give people their credit. He said, clarity is everything. Oh my God. Clarity is every motherfucking thing. He was so right. So I like to give clarity. So I wanted to give clarity and definition and structure because I feel it's important to the specific economic hardships that dark-skinned people face. And so I call it systemic economic darkism. The term is systemic economic darkism, and it can be found in my dark skin glossary of terms, which is the first of its kind. I created the first dark skin glossary of terms. I'm taking my credit because everybody steals from me. Y'all listen to me and y'all steal. This is what y'all do, a lot of y'all. And it's wrong. You didn't create this stuff. Y'all sat here and hear me. I'm getting kind of sleepy here. Give scholars credit all day and all night. You're gonna give me my credit. These concepts I created. So in my book, if you go to the very first ever created dark skin glossary of terms, you will see the word or the phrase systemic economic darkism, and it simply means the ways in which dark skinned people are impeded economically, basically from living their best economic life. That's really what it all boils down to. Okay? So, dark-skinned people, it ain't all your fault, and I need y'all to know that. I need y'all to understand that darkism is at work. The playing field is not level, as the saying goes, for dark-skinned people. From day one, it never has been. Y'all ever heard of that term, old money? Well, there's old mixed race money, honey. There's old light-skinned money, and it comes from white people. Somebody said that colorism stems from racism. Absolutely. I'm in total agreement with that. I wish I knew who said that first. I'd give them credit. Dark-skinned people, it ain't all your faults. I want to invite you out. Hey, Ramon Bonton. I want to invite you guys to my online play coming up on June 26th, as you can see on the screen, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You guys can watch A Dark-Skinned Woman's Revenge from anywhere in the world online. Online. All right? Click the button, buy now button, and get your tickets. Go to darkskinactivist.com. Once again, darkskinactivist.com. Tickets are $44.99. If you are in Atlanta, where I'm going to be performing at on the same day, you can come out to the live show. The tickets are on sale. The location is called The White Label. The address is 349 Decatur Street Southeast, Unit M, in Atlanta, Georgia. And the time is 7:30, and I do start on time. There will be a darkism talk right after the show. Click the buy now button at my website if you want to attend in person. The website again is darkskinactivist.com. Once again, that is darkskinactivist.com. I also want to encourage you to help me with the production cost of this play. And I thank you to everyone that has already donated. We're still trying to get more donations because I need to continue to pay for expenses associated with producing the play, like the venue, the marketing, the travel, the tech, the setup for the live stream. Okay? So I need y'all to support. So there's two things you could do here. Okay. You can go buy a ticket, or you can go to one of my financial platforms, which is GoFundMe, Rashida Strober GoFundMe, just Google it, or my Cash App, which is $Rashidalala, or my PayPal, which is icecreamladydream@yahoo.com. You guys could go to any one of those financial platforms, and if you give anything $100 or more, I will make sure you get your ticket, whether you want it to be online, where you can watch it from anywhere you want to in the world, as long as you have internet, of course, and a device to watch it on. Or you can choose the Atlanta in-person tickets. It will be totally up to you. So I want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch what was on my heart and my mind to come and tell to dark skinned people today, and to let you guys know to be encouraged. Make sure y'all subscribe. Make sure you share. Make sure y'all hit the notification bell so you'll get notifications when I go live. And I will see y'all at the show. And I thank y'all for all of y'all support.